Hello and welcome to the Unpacking for the Core Values Index. I'm so glad that you were able to take the index and that you are listening to this right now. I'm Sabrina Walters from Core Values Counseling LLC, and my husband and I work together to train counselors, coaches, and clergy in the use of the Core Values Index. This is an assessment that was developed by a man who helps to turn around companies, to help put people in their right seat. As in the book Good to Great, we all know that it's important to have the right people on the bus, not just have people and making sure that they're the right people in the right places. But also what we've discovered is that the Core Values Index helps us to understand ourselves and understand our clients really well at a deep level, at a very, very low cost and quick assessment, only 10 minutes, as you saw when you took it for yourself. So I'm going to give you some of the basic underpinnings of it. This recording should be about half an hour long, maybe a little bit longer. We'll see how it goes. And we'd like you to be thinking about how you might use this in your practice or your work with people, clients, no matter what it is that you do, whether you're in counseling or coaching, or if you're a clergy member. It's an amazing tool to use. So first we're going to look at the 4 quadrants. We're going to understand how important it is to be able to be flexible within your core values and what kind of energy level you have in your core value. And then, of course, there's always the flip side of the beauty of the core values, and that's our negative conflict strategies. We're going to talk about that and how to work with them. And then how to use the core values to lead people to find vision and purpose in their life. So Eric and I are believers, and we believe that everything that is revealed to us, then we are accountable for that. But when we don't know who we are and what we're about and how we're wired, it can also lead to destruction. So I love this verse, but everything exposed by the light becomes visible, and everything that is illuminated becomes a light. So in order to do that, you have to know yourself. Lynn Taylor, the creator of the CVI, says, what we don't know about ourselves controls us. And that's what we are going to talk a little bit about today, to help you understand yourself a little bit more as you delve kind of more deeply into the Core Values Index. So there's 4 essential elements in the CVI, and I want to plant these in your brain so you begin to think about them more clearly as we begin to unpack this CVI for you. We could only be one core value energy at a time. So there's 4 main core values: power, love, wisdom, and knowledge. And you can only be in one of those quadrants at a time in order to be the most effective. And so knowing what energy you bring into the table, to the meeting, to the relationship at any given time is really important. Becoming more mindful of what presence you are being is how you become more and more effective. Oftentimes we just bumble through life. We don't know what we're bringing to the table at any given time. And when that happens, we don't know if we're doing positive or negative effects on people. And in our life, we need to know that. So being aware of who you are being at any given time is really important. Number 3, we will always have the greatest impact and the greatest vulnerability in our highest and greatest core value. This happens to be my husband Eric's core value, and you can see that the big purple area is innovator, which is wisdom, and that is him. He has a lot of wisdom and compassion for people, and that is his highest and greatest core value. So that's where he should be working out of most of the time. It's also his most vulnerable place, and we're going to talk about that. That's what we mean by conflict strategies. And the last of these 4 essential elements is, unless we keep those 2 core values in any one quadrant connected, then we negate the energy and it turns negative. Dun, dun, dun. That's the part we want us to be aware of, is we go into this, we need to understand that in each one of these core values, they're paired with something that's supportive. And so we're going to go through each one of those. But those two in each of those quadrants have to stay connected. And when they get separated, we'll talk about what happens. And that's when you slip into that negative place. But by keeping them connected, it's incredibly powerful and effective in your life. So the first quadrant is builder. That is based in power and faith. The builder is a person who uses the power to make a positive difference. They use it in their own life. They use it in the lives of others. They use it in their companies, in their churches, in their relationships. This kind of power is the kind that lifts people up. It isn't the oppressive kind. And then the faith part of it is that they know what to do now and they know what to do next. They have this self-confidence that joins with that power just to move things forward. I always think about this kind of person as the Bob the Builder. They just get her done. The next core value is merchant. And the merchant is the person in the community who is based in love and truth. This is a person who nurtures the values within themselves and in others. They care deeply about the emotional wellness of people. They build community. Relationships and vision are at the core of everything a merchant does. And this love that's paired with truth gives them the ability to see the way things truly are intuitively, even without being told. And when they're able to share their truth, it is usually received very well because the people know how well they are loved by these people. So these are your strong community builder, relational people. The innovator is based in wisdom and compassion. This is my husband. And he sees the way things are, and he knows how to solve problems. The innovator needs a problem to solve. If they don't have a problem to solve, sometimes they'll find a problem to solve, which isn't always a good thing. They also have compassion. And this word, we must look at the Greek roots of it. It's with passion. They stick with the problem or the person until their wisdom can show them the way through to the other side. They're able to stay with a problem and remain compassionate, observant, patient. Another word for compassion is long-suffering. And these people are able to long suffer alongside someone else until there's a solution that is found. Innovators love new inventions. They can find new ways of doing things. They're amazing brainstormers. There are wisdom people. The banker is our final core value, and they're based in knowledge and justice. These people love knowledge. I have two sons who are bankers, and both of them would agree that they love to take a process that's already in place and make it better. They're all about excellence. They love to learn. These people are data driven. They usually love to read. They enjoy the learning process. The justice piece of this is that it means that the knowledge is available to all people and used properly. When I think of a banker, I think of someone who is like a library. The library is open for everybody, and the knowledge is given to everybody. It's not just for one person. So the knowledge that they have is not just for themselves, it is for everyone, and it needs to be used and available to all people, or at least all people in their tribe. This is very important. They can also be the scales of justice in our society. They are the people that have black and white thinking because there's a right and a wrong way to do everything, a best way and a way that's not the best. And they're the ones who show us that through their knowledge and their sense of justice. So this is what we call our index, core value index key. You see the builder, merchant, innovator, banker. And you see that power is catalyzed or supported by faith. Love is supported by truth. Wisdom is catalyzed by compassion. And knowledge is catalyzed by justice. In this key, there's also all the other elements that you can use the CVI for. How do each of these core values contribute to a team? The builder contributes action and results. The merchant, relationships and vision. The innovator, assessment and solutions. And the banker is conservation and information. And I would also put in there preservation. It's not just about money. You also have the conflict strategies here, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. And then learning styles. This is a really important tool in order to understand how people learn best. The builders need to decide and do. Give them something to do and let them go. The merchants really need to talk and listen and work it out in a relationship. The innovators want time to assess and solve, and the bankers need even more time to read and analyze. These are really important elements as you're working with a team or a family or even a couple to understand that each person might be seeing things through a different lens and might need to process in a different way. So as we add together your scores in the different boxes, if you took the full version, you got the scores, and you can add these together. But if you didn't, you could just surmise by the shape of your square and figure out which two combinations are your highest, what would be your second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So the builder and the merchant combined are intuitive. The builder has this gut sense of what to do with projects and things. The merchant has a very deep intuition about people and things. So together they are highly, highly intuitive. They go from their gut. The opposite of that is the banker-innovator combination. That is highly cognitive. You've got the knowledge and justice and the wisdom and compassion of the innovator. And those combined are very cognitive. Show me the facts, show me the research, then I'll move forward. So you can imagine if you have these two together, they might be at odds unless they learn to honor and appreciate one another. Then there's the contribution of the practical versus the creative. The builder merchant with their get her done attitude, and the banker, I know the right thing to do because I researched the heck out of it. That makes a very practical kind of drive forward. The merchant, on the other hand, has this visionary ideas blended with the brainstorming ability of the innovator, coming up with ideas and creating all the time. And so these two might also be at opposite ends of the spectrum. But once again, it's all about how to honor the other. You need it all, so it's important to value each other's contributions. The last two contribution types are independent. The builder is get her done, intuition, know what to do, the faith within themselves to do what they need to do and see where to go next. And the innovators coming up with the ideas. So the builder in this case, if that's him or her who has this ability to brainstorm within themselves, the builder gets it done. So they don't need an outside influence. They can just move forward with what they have within themselves. The opposite is the banker and the merchant combination. This is a high community builder, a need for community. This banker has the knowledge and the justice, and he wants to pull in the relationships. When you have these two combinations, you have someone who makes very long-lasting relationships because he knows he needs people. So these two might be at odds. Once again, learning to honor and include is the important thing when you're looking at contribution types. So your wired in life challenge. Each one of us needs to learn flexibility to move between our own core values within ourselves. So this is just an example. This person has Builder 17, Merchant 10, Innovator 24, and Banker 21. When you are doing this on your own, what you need to understand is that if you have a score that is 26 to 36, you are profoundly that. For instance, I am Merchant 29, so I'm almost always coming out of my love and truth quadrant. That's what I operate out of. I'm almost always in there. And I need to learn to move into my second, which is all the way down to 20, wisdom and compassion, innovator. And so as you look at this, you're going to see this person's scores pop up over here. And you'll see that they have put them where they belong on this scale here. So this wisdom, they have 24, so they put it in that quadrant. So this person is ordinarily and regularly operating in line with both wisdom and knowledge. The next one down is power at 17. They occasionally and with effort operate in line with their power. And then their love is at the bottom at 10. And they almost never operate in line with this core value, and they find it demotivating. So they would probably need to be coached or make sure that they honor someone in their life with love to help bring that into their life. And so what I want you to do is to take some time and do this yourself as well. And I want you to subtract the top one from the second one. So 24 in this instance, 24 from 21 equals 3. And then the next one is 21 minus 17 equals 4. And then 17 minus 10 equals 7. And then you're going to take that first number, 3, 4, and 7, and divide each one of those by 3. And that's going to show you the order of magnitude at which it takes the energy it takes you to move from your top to your second, from your second to third, third and fourth. So for this guy, he has 1 order of magnitude, which is 10 times more energy than it takes for him to be wisdom, that takes him to move down into knowledge. That's not too bad. You can apply some energy and move pretty effectively at that point. The next one is 1.3, again, not that far apart. But when we look down at the next one, 2.3, that is 2 orders of magnitude. So it's 10 times 10, which is 100. So for him to move from his power down to his love, it's going to take 100 times more energy. For me, from my top one, 29 love, to my second wisdom of 20 is 9 points of difference, divided by 3 is 3 orders of magnitude, which means it's 1,000 times more energy. And I tell people it took me $62,000 to pay for a counseling master's to learn how to be a wisdom person. But, we can all learn. It just might take a little bit more effort. So as you understand that, you'll see how important it is to know what you're bringing to the table in each and every instance. And the only way we can do that is become more and more aware to do that. We're going to move into conflict strategies now. So the builder, when he pulls apart faith from power, he can turn it into overpowering or intimidation. So when the builder power lacks faith, they become overpowering. The merchant, when our love hides the truth, we become manipulators because we're striving for love. We don't mean to manipulate. The builder doesn't mean to intimidate. In fact, oftentimes we deny that we do this because it is the absolute opposite of what we want to do. But what happens is, for the merchant, I know this one very well because it's myself, I can become controlling. I can become enabling by hiding my truth. Anytime they become unbalanced, my love and my truth, I can become less than I want to be of a loving person. And so when you separate the two, it negates the main one. So if I separate my truth from my love, I negate love altogether. For the wisdom person, the innovator, when wisdom lacks compassion, so they don't believe anybody cares about their wisdom, or they don't care about the situation anymore, they can turn it into interrogation because they want to avoid foolishness. So it looks a little bit like this. So, Sabrina, did you do the to-do list today? Why didn't you do the to-do list? Well, why did you do it that way? Why didn't you do it this way? And so, as you see, it's not wisdom with compassion, which would be, I am wondering what kept you from doing the list today. Is there anything I can do to help you accomplish what you need to get done or what we need to get done? See the difference there? That's with compassion. Without compassion, it sounds like you're getting the third degree. Believe me, I know this well. I live with it. So we each have our dark side. And so the whole point of it is that the innovator is trying to avoid foolishness. They want to be seen as wise and compassionate. The banker, when their knowledge sees no justice, they don't want to have anything to do with something that's unjust or stupid. So they become aloof and they judge. So we see that as aloof judgment. They want to talk to the hand because the head's not listening. And in fact, usually they just disappear way back into their cubicle and they're like, fine, if you don't want to listen to my knowledge, I have studied this, I've researched it, I've drawn it up on an Excel sheet, and I know that you are going to be going in the wrong direction if you don't listen to me. It's not right. That's what it sounds like a lot of times. And so they want to avoid stupidity or unrighteousness or anything that's less than excellent. And then they just pull back and they become invisible. So there's wake-up calls that help us to know when we're slipping into that negative side of ourselves. And so it's important to kind of ferret out in yourself. How do you do this? When do you do this? And why do you do this? So there's some wake-up calls. So when you feel the anxiety coming on, that's your alarm that says, wake up. There's something happening inside of me. Any negative emotion can be an alarm to say, uh-oh, I better step back and try to get myself in a more calm state before I move forward. Because I want to move forward in the best way possible, and it's probably not going to be in your number one core value. I know for me, I cannot stay in my love and truth because I'm going to get myself in trouble there because I'm protecting my love. And when you're having to protect your heart, you know that you're going to be doing something that's probably not going to be good for the relationship. So that's true of all of these. So learning to step back, to calm yourself, to calm your autonomic system, listen to that inner voice, and recognize that there are some triggers for you. The more you understand the triggers, the more you'll become effective at shifting out of that negative conflict strategy into a place that's really positive and powerful. So ask yourself honestly, maybe ask your family, ask your partners in crime around the workplace. What do I do? How do you encounter me when it is not pleasant to deal with me? Are you an intimidating person? Are you overpowering people? Do you manipulate, enable, try to fix everything around you, control it, shut down completely? Do you interrogate or belittle people? Do you judge or become aloof? Or any one of us, if we don't feel like we should do that, then we become invisible. All of them are removing our high contributing core value from the situation. And that is something we want to overcome. We want to move into a different core value where we can be effective. So what is your highest core value that is least integrated? For me, that's easy. I know I integrate love a lot. My secondary is wisdom. That's where I have to move to. I know that it's hard for me to move there. It's 9 points difference, 3 orders of magnitude. For me, that's easy to figure out. It's not as easy for everyone, depending on how you have been conditioned in your life and whatnot. It may have affected how you move around within your core values, and that's something that I'm happy to talk with you one-on-one about. So feel free to give me a call or email, and we can set up a time to talk about that. But your action plan should be, is this a time, for instance, for me, for wisdom? And what would wisdom do? What would I do in this situation if I didn't have to protect my love, or maybe for you, if I didn't have to be protecting my power or my wisdom or my knowledge, what would that secondary core value do in this situation? Well, for me, as a wisdom person that I need to move to wisdom, I need to sit back, take some deep breaths, and close my mouth so I don't get in trouble. So the way you do this and become more effective is to buy a journal worthy of such important work. Go out to Barnes & Noble and buy a leather-bound journal, something more expensive than you normally would, because this is going to be some of the most important work of your life. And ask your higher power, ask God to help you be spiritually aware. Show me when core value 2 or 3 or 4 need to be incorporated, and then start journaling your heart out about this, and dedicate that every day you're going to journal something like, oh yeah, and usually it's looking back and catching yourself a little bit sooner. I wonder if I would have shifted, instead of trying to fix it, I wonder what would have happened if I would have sat back, been quiet, and just observed for a few minutes before I said anything. So just writing that out. And then maybe the next day you'd be like, today I caught myself. My heart was pounding and I was becoming flushed, and I took a minute and I took a little walk around the block. I came back and I asked the team what their observations were. So that would be an example of, maybe you did catch yourself, but journaling about it is really important. Something else that the core values bring out in you is, this is your DNA of your soul. This is who you were in the womb of your mother before you were born, and this is who you will be when you meet your maker. So this is who you are. As you begin to honor it within yourself and within each other, it's really it's going to enhance your life. You're going to become more effective, because you're going to be using your highest and greatest contribution more and more often, and knowing when to shift and learning about yourself when you're getting triggered. So this is our mission statement, and I encourage you to try to make one up out of yours as well, because our life is based in a strong and abiding faith in God. We will constantly steep our life in prayer, keeping our home an open door, sacrificially giving to others, constantly growing in love and wisdom. I'm love, he's wisdom, in every area of our lives. What do you stand for? That's something that we do in our couples seminar, using the Core Values Index, is helping them really understand their mission in life, their vision as a couple, helping them come through the difficulties of life, because they know that they're being drawn to this higher calling, this purpose that they have written in stone. So the ways to use the CVI, of course, in the corporate world, it's been used for the last 20 or 25 years, turning around companies. You could have the ability to do that as well. I use it with church staffs, helping them understand each other and becoming much, much more effective. Individual work with clients, it's a wonderful way to know them and help them know each other, and understanding each other at this core, especially for couples, helping them to grow in honoring and esteeming one another and building each other up in love. And of course in families, especially because it gives you that understanding about their conflict strategies as well as their learning styles. How wonderful would it be if every parent knew their kids? If kids can take this at the fourth grade reading level, 10 years old, they're able to take the CBI and it stays consistent throughout time in their scores. And then, of course, counseling, career counseling and coaching. It's so important to know who you are. It leads to understanding your purpose and your calling and the effect that you want to have on a specific population. When you know all of those things, you can help people move into their absolute sweet spot. So we offer coaching certification, counseling certification class to use the core values index. The whole thing can either be done on site here in Portland, Oregon, or online. Online, we take 4 to 6 weeks. I give myself a little wiggle room depending on how large the class is and how deeply we go into each of the trainings. But you will get 6 CEUs for that as well, and you will be fully certified as soon as you show that you are practicing it and showing proficiency through some one-on-one times after you've completed the training. And you become part of the core values referral source that I use as well as the inventor uses as well. We want to build more and more people up in this amazing assessment. It has 97.7% reliability over now 20-year period of time. It's the most reliable of all assessments out there. So I just encourage you to think about taking that and give me a call and we can talk about when we could start. And I'm happy to talk about the ins and outs of that, the financial outlay and whatnot. But feel free to give us a call. We are here to serve you and help you understand yourself better as you help others. That's our goal. So I encourage you to intentionally live out of your core self. Become aware of your conflict strategies and what triggers this in you, and make sure that you're writing this down. Decide to shift into a different core value. You have the ability. It's just learning how and when that needs to happen. And then commit to honor your core value self in every area of your life and in others. So I encourage you, send me an email. Let me know what your next steps will be using the CBI. Thank you so much for showing up today on this podcast, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks again, and have an amazing day.